you rescued me. You gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. Moses had stage fright. David brought a rock to his sword fight. You picked 12 outsiders. Nobody would have chosen them to change the world. The moral of the story is everybody's got a purpose. So when I hear that devil start talking to me, saying, who do you think you are? I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. Saved my soul down. Never said you rescued me. You gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. So let me go down, down, down in history as another blood-bought, faithful member of the family. And if they all forget my name, well, that's fine with me. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. So let me go down, down, down in history as another blood-bought, faithful member of the family. And if they all forget my name, well, that's fine with me. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul. Saved my soul. Rescued me. You gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see. Nobody but Jesus.
Can I have sparkling, please? I want sparkling.
Nobody. Great song.
I don't want to stay there.
Okay, sweetheart. Okay, why don't we, just want to walk through. You need to stay. Can you just, you know, walk through?
I just think that's where reaching sometimes can bounce just too far.
Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to welcome you here to Upper Dublin Lutheran Church for today's special event. We are the band For the Spirit, and we're going to start things off. So come on in and join us in the sanctuary. Because we want you to help us start a fire.
This world can be cold and bitter. Feels like we're in the dead of winter, waiting on something better. But am I really gonna hide forever? Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. Let your light shine for all to see. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly, everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. It only takes a spark to start the whole place. It only takes a little faith. Let it start right here in this city, so these old walls will never be the same. Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. Let your light shine for all to see. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, carry the news that you have come to say. Only you can say. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying.
Come on now.
Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire.
Start a fire in my soul.
You are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day.
There's no doubt
Oh,
or denying. Let it burn so
and
brightly.
let it burn.
Everyone around
Everyone to see
that it's
you that we need. Start a fire in me. Thank you.
We'll take another song here by Michael W. Smith.
Healing rain is coming down. It's coming nearer to this old town. Rich and poor, weak and strong. It's bringing mercy. It won't be long. Healing rain is coming down. It's coming closer to the lost and found. Tears of joy and tears of shame, we wash forever in Jesus' name. Healing rain comes with fire. Let it fall, take us higher,
And take us higher.
Healing rain, I'm not afraid to be washed in heaven's rain. Lift your heads, let us return to the mercy seat where time began.
everybody into the sanctuary if you want to join us.
You'll start making your way in. We're going to start the summit soon.
And there's room for everyone.
And there's room for everyone.
Lots of room. It's a big house.
I know you lay head where you call your home. I don't know where you eat your meals or where you talk on the phone. I don't know if you got a cook, a butler, or a maid. I don't know if you got a yard with a hammock in the shade. I don't know if you got some shelter, say a place to hide. I don't know if you live with friends whom you can confide. I don't know if you live with say your mom or dad. I don't know if you love it all, but I bet you wish you had. Well, come and go with me to my father's house. Come and go with me to my father's house. It's a big, big house with lots and lots of room. It's a big, big table with lots and lots of food. It's a big, big yard where we can play football. It's a big, big house. Well, it's my father's house. All I know is a big old house with rooms for everyone. All I know is lots of land where we can play and run. All I know is that you need love and I've got a family here. All I know is you're all alone, so why not come with me? Say come and go with me to my father's house. Come and go with me to my father's house. It's a big, big house with lots and lots of room. It's a big, big table with lots and lots of food. It's a big, big house. We can play football. It's a big, big house. It's my father's house. My father's house. Well, come and go with me to my father's house. Come and go with me to my father's house. It's a big, big house with lots and lots of room. It's a big, big table with lots and lots of food. It's a big, big yard where we can play football. It's a big, big house. It's my father's house. It's a big, big house with lots and lots of room. It's a big, big table with lots and lots of food. It's a big, big yard where we can play football. It's a big, big house. It's my father's house.
Hey, how's everybody doing today, okay? Welcome everybody here to our church up in Dublin. We got one more pastor, but you want to say something first and then we'll do something, or? Okay. Well,
This will give us a good opportunity. I know in church we like to sit toward the back. It's very common also on Sunday mornings. But I'm going to invite us to sit a little closer. It should be easier for us to interact, better for our speakers. So the band, please, your final song, please. Come on up. Thanks.
Why you ever chose me, it's always been a mystery. All my life I've been told I belong at the end of the line, with all the other not rights, with all that never get it right. But it turns out they're the ones you were looking for all this time. 'Cause I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul.
save my soul.
Ever since you rescued me, you gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Moses had stage fright, and David brought a rock to his sword fight. You picked 12 outsiders, nobody would have chosen it. Everybody's got a purpose. So when I hear that devil start talking to me, saying, who do you think you are? I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul.
Save my soul.
And ever since you rescued me, you gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. So let me go down, down, down in history as another blood-bought, faithful member of the family. And if they all forget my name, well, that's fine with me. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. So let me go down, down, down in history as another blood-bought, faithful member of the family. And if they all forget my name, well, that's fine with me. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. I'm just a nobody, trying to tell everybody all about somebody who saved my soul.
Ever since you rescued me,
You gave my heart a song to sing. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. I'm living for the world to see, nobody but Jesus. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The band is here despite a family party that's happening today, I understand. And 3 of the band members are related. So thank you guys so much for the music and getting off to a great start and great energy. Welcome, everybody. It's so great to have you here today. I'm Pastor Keith Anderson, the pastor here at Upper Dublin. And on behalf of our congregation, thank you for being here. If you are here today, it's because you care about the community. And so whether you're a citizen, a person of faith, a faith leader, a nonprofit leader, an elected leader, you care about our neighbors and loving and serving our neighbors and making the world a better place. And whatever has brought us all here today, that is what we hold in common. And that's what we're going to be reflecting on today. We know that needs in our communities have risen dramatically, even while funding and resources and support has been diminished. And we want to know how to help. As a church, we want to know how to help, and we want to be able to do more. So we've done a Sunday afternoon program like this before, but we've had a week-long community summit. It's the first time that we've done this. It's the first community leaders dinner that we've ever had, and even though we've done a lot of service, it was our first day of service in that way yesterday, and a new format for the afternoon today, and that's because we want to know how we can help, how we can show up for our neighbors, and if you're here, I think you want to know that too. Our church values relationships and community and service, and you might have noticed that we really enjoy feeding people with an incredible amount of food every time. And so part of what we thought that we could contribute to this work is to bring people together, to create a space, to create an environment, to create gatherings where we could come together, be inspired by one another, support one another, and also learn from one another and see how we could collaborate together. So for us, and perhaps for you, we hope this is a beginning of something and not just a culmination of this week. And this whole week's really been a collaborative effort. I'm grateful to the Wissahickon Faith Community Association, which is our interfaith organization, which does an incredible job in our community, to the Southeastern Pennsylvania Synod that provided some funding for these events, and the Tigris Foundation for their incredible support and partnership. Thanks to our fellowship team, our hospitality team, our community outreach team, our DEI team, our advocacy team, our staff, our council. So many people in our church had a role in putting this all together. And special thanks to our speakers and panelists today. You are all doing inspirational, incredible work in the community. Thank you for being here to share your knowledge and experience and inspiration with us so that we can do the same. Thank you so much. At this time, we're really grateful to have Philly Voices Rising with us today, and they're going to lead us in a song.
Thank you so much, Pastor Pete. Can I take this off? Or? Okay, great. So my name is Deborah, and we are a choir of, I don't know, probably 40, but it was a busy day. So you got me and two members. Voices Rising Philly was founded in January of 2017. What was happening then? Let's think. Jane Holting, who some of you may know is a former musical leader of the UU Church at Gorgas and Stenton, and for many years led the Anacrusis Women's Choir, founded Voices Rising Philly because every liberation movement has had music at its core, but they usually had a common canon. So the civil rights movement in this country had church music out of the black church in the South, mostly. The solidarity movement of Poland had, union songs. So Jane brought us together so we could learn some old songs together, rewrite them if we needed, and learn some of the new songs that are being written because there's so much wonderful new music. So the song we're going to sing with you, so everything we do today, we're going to be with you for 3 songs. You're the choir too, right? Because they're all call and response. So this was written by Melanie DeMore, who's out of the Bay Area, who's an amazing social justice songwriter and song leader. Look her up if you don't know who she is, Melanie DeMore. She wrote this 2 nights after the 2016 election, and it is called Lead with Love. And I am old, so I like to remember to make sure I'm singing her words, because we did change them once at the Women's March in 2018 in Philly. I changed one verse, and she wrote to me and said, no, some songs are a folk process, but not this one. So we honor her. So I want to make sure I do right by Miss Melanie, because I try to, learn from my mentors. And so the chorus, the verses are call and response, but I'm going to tell you the words of the chorus because you're going to sing along with it. We're going to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We say that a couple of times, so now you know the chorus. We're going to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We're going to put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope.
Don't give up hope.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Don't you give up.
Don't you give up.
Keep moving on.
Keep moving on.
We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Look up ahead. That's not the first line, though. Lift up your eyes.
Lift up your eyes.
Don't you despair.
Don't you despair.
Look up ahead.
Look up ahead.
The path is there.
The path is there.
We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared.
I know you're scared.
And I'm scared too.
I'm scared too.
But here I am,
But here I am.
right next to you.
Right next to you.
We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We're gonna put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. And lead with love. We got a choir. And thank you for inviting us. I'm gonna let you do that.
Am I introducing you? Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce to you somebody I know very well, my wife, Jennifer. Jenny is the Chief Advocacy Officer at the Tigris Foundation, and if you know Jenny, she's the Chief Advocacy Officer wherever she is. Here at church, at home, in our school district. She's our CAO, and Jenny was a driving force in making this week possible, and she's going to be our moderator today. So welcome, Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. As Keith said, I'm Jenny Anderson. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm delighted to see you all here today. Thank you so much for showing up for our community, for showing up for our speakers who are doing the work every day, boots on the ground in our communities. And we're going to learn more about how we can do that work together with them and alongside them, as we learned this morning in church, how to walk with people in their need. So it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Kristen D. Dominic. She is the executive director of the Bucksmont Collaborative. She joined the organization in September of 2020. Oh gosh, that was not a hard time at all to be joining a nonprofit. She has 20 years of nonprofit experience in executive and program leadership, community collaboration and development, with experience supporting multi-sector systems change initiatives. She serves on the board of directors of Foundations Community Partnership and volunteers as a girl troop co-leader. I'm not sure how she has time in her life to do that. In 2022, Kristen received the PA Social Worker of the Year Award at the NASW PA chapter, and she previously taught social policy and administration as well as sociology at Gwynedd Mercy University to help students understand their world from additional and diverse perspectives. So please join me in inviting Kristen up to speak. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is really wonderful to be with you here today. So I've been asked to discuss the state of the nonprofit sector, and I want to begin in truth, right? That this is a hard moment to lead. It's a hard moment to serve, and for many nonprofits, it's a hard moment to just keep going, right? Across our region, our state and country, nonprofit leaders, board members, volunteers are carrying an extraordinary amount. They are navigating financial uncertainty, workforce strain, rising community need, and a policy environment that too often feels unstable. And they are doing all of that while continuing to show up for people each day. And that matters because when families are in crisis, when systems fall short, when trust is frayed, and when people don't know where else to turn, they turn to nonprofits. They turn to community-based organizations. They turn to institutions rooted in service and relationship and in care. So when we talk about the state of the nonprofit sector in 2026, we're not just talking about one part of our civic life off to the side. We are talking about the health of our communities. We are talking about the strength of our social fabric. We are talking about whether the people and institutions that are asked to hold so much for so many actually have what they need to do it. So for the next 9 minutes, right, I have 10 total, okay, I want to share 3 major trends shaping the nonprofit sector in 2026, and then I do want to spend the rest of my time on an important question and a call to action of what can all of us do to be of service to nonprofits and to the communities that they serve. And first, I'm going to give you a pad and a disclaimer, right? I'm going to talk and paint a broad picture. All of the nonprofits here, they might not be experiencing these trends in exactly the same way, because if you're in arts and culture, if you're in human service, if you're serving immigrant communities, we are experiencing this sector a little differently right now. But these are trends that are defining the sector for all of us. Okay, and they're tough to hear, but then we're going to get to hope, so stay with me, okay? Stay with me. First trend. Many nonprofits are in a period of financial instability and uncertainty. And this is not simply a story about budgets being tight. Nonprofits, we know, have long known how to stretch a dollar, right? And do more with less. This moment is different because it's not just about scarcity, it's about volatility. Organizations have experienced significant uncertainty following sweeping executive orders and landmark legislation. So rapidly shifting federal guidance and sudden pauses in federal funding have created real strain for the social sector and for communities that depend on it. In many cases, organizations have had to make decisions with incomplete information, right? Respond to changing rules with little notice and absorb the shock of those interruptions that they did not create and they can't control, right? And that kind of instability has consequences. It becomes harder to plan responsibly. It becomes harder to hire confidently, harder to reassure your staff, right? Harder to promise continuity to the people who rely on your services, and harder to lead with steadiness when the policy and funding environment around you is anything but steady. Government funding is not peripheral for many nonprofits, right? And the 2025 National State of the Nonprofit Sector Survey findings from the Nonprofit Finance Fund, doesn't roll off the tongue, what? Yeah, right, but that's the survey I'm referencing. More than 70% of nonprofits reported receiving money from federal, state, or local government, and 45% had federal grants or contracts, right? So that means a tremendous share of the sector is directly exposed to federal shifts, delays, and retrenchment. And many organizations were already operating with very little margin for disruption. In that same survey, 36% shared that they had ended 2024 with an operating deficit. And more than half reported having 3 months or less of cash on hand. 18% had 1 month or less of cash on hand, right? So when federal guidance changes overnight, when funding is delayed, when reimbursements slow, or when new compliance burdens arrive without warning, nonprofits don't experience that as an inconvenience, right? They experience it as a threat to continuity. Okay, stay with me, it gets better. Okay, not right now, but we're gonna talk about workforce strain. Okay, I promise, we're getting to hope. Nearly 2/3 of nonprofit leaders in a recent report by the Center for Effective Philanthropy said that they had difficulty filling staff vacancies in the past year. More than half said that their biggest staffing challenge was insufficient funding to recruit, retain, and support staff with concerns about responding to inflation and addressing cost of living demands. So our workforce is strained. And then there's burnout, and we've got to talk about it. This is not the kind of burnout that comes from just being busy. We are all busy, right? It is deeper. It comes from being responsible for urgent human need day after day. It comes from trying to protect communities while also worrying about your own organization, about your staff, and sometimes your own family, right? It comes from witnessing fear and grief and instability and injustice up close, and still being expected to respond with compassion and calm and assurance. Another report, I did a lot of reading just to bring all of this together, okay, found that nearly 90% of nonprofit leaders expressed at least some concern about their own burnout. Similar numbers with their staff, with 58% reporting burnout as having a moderate or significant impact on their staff. So we cannot just hear that as a staffing concern, but as a call to action. Because the nonprofit workforce, it's not an abstract category, right? It is folks who are helping our children learn. It is helping families stay housed, helping our neighbors access food, helping our elders age with dignity, helping our communities organize, helping survivors heal, helping people live. When they are stretched beyond what is sustainable, the consequences don't stop at the office door. Make communities feel it too. All right, third trend, community demand is rising. All right. Many nonprofits are seeing a steady rise in community need, okay? More people are turning to them for help with healthcare, food, and housing, among many other basic and other needs. What organizations are experiencing is not just increased demand for service, but a deeper strain in the communities around them, and we need to ask ourselves why. And when we do, we see that policy choices are driving more people into need. The impact of H.R. 1, the One Big Beautiful Bill, this impact will deepen as additional requirements continue to be implemented. Through its cumulative effects on Medicaid, Medicare, and the Children's Health Insurance Program changes, the Congressional Budget Office has estimated that 1.3 million individuals will lose access to health insurance in 2026. That estimate is expected to rise to 5.2 million in 2027, 6.8 in 2028, 8.6 in 2029, up until we get to 10 million by 2034. Right? Through H.R. 1, SNAP regulations changed in fall 2025, adding work requirements for many and limiting access to immigrants seeking food assistance for the first time. And shifts in immigration policy and ICE activity have increased fear and uncertainty in many communities, making trusted community-based organizations even more essential. So when healthcare becomes harder to access, people turn to community organizations for help, right? When food assistance is reduced, more families show up at food pantries. And when immigrant communities feel less safe or less certain about what systems that they can trust, they turn even more to local organizations that are rooted in relationship and dignity and care. So when we say community demand is rising, we're not talking about an abstract trend line, right? We're talking about real people in real places showing up with real needs. And we're talking about nonprofits being asked to respond to the downstream effects of policy decisions made elsewhere. So it's a heavy moment. So I've laid bare 3 sector truths that are hard truths. So now let's talk about what we can do together, right? What does this moment ask of us? And I believe it asks us for 3 things. I believe it calls us to advocate, to show up, and to pour out love and grace. All right, let's break it down. All right, let's talk about advocacy. We can advocate for the conditions that our communities need to thrive. I'm looking at the Chief Advocacy Officer right here. Okay. If many of the challenges that nonprofits are facing are policy-driven, then the response must be policy-changing. And advocacy becomes one of the most meaningful ways that we can serve. That means advocating for funding that is timely, that is dependable and sufficient to meet real needs. It means supporting policies that protect healthcare and food access, housing, immigrant rights, and the dignity of our neighbors. And it means standing beside the organizations and the coalitions that are doing that long and faithful work. Advocacy is not separate from service. It is one of the ways that we put our values and our service into action. So I encourage you today to think about joining a coalition or an advocacy network. You are welcome at the Collaborative Advocacy Network. We host one, or you can hear more about Manco 30% and get involved, or in Zacate's work or others. But get involved because we need you, okay? All right, second, what can we do? We can show up, right? We can trust our nonprofits and stand with them. And that begins by asking what they need and then listening with care. It means showing up with generosity, with partnership, and with a willingness to walk alongside them as donors, as volunteers, as friends. It means supporting their work not only in moments of celebration, yes, come and celebrate, but also in the ordinary days when steady encouragement and flexible support and shared commitment matter most. When communities believe in their nonprofits, invest in them, and stand with them, those organizations are able to do what they do best, right? Respond with care, build connection, help people thrive. And so when we stand with nonprofits, we are standing with our neighbors, with our friends, and with the future of our communities. So I encourage you to ask a nonprofit that you care about what they need and give just that. Trust them and show up. Okay, third, what we can do. Pour love and give grace. This is a difficult moment for all of us. Okay, people are tired, people are worried. People are carrying grief and pressure and uncertainty that is not always visible on the surface. And in moments like this, one of the most meaningful things that we can do is to pour love out and give grace each day. And that may sound simple, but it is not small. It means being patient with one another. It means being kind in places where stress could easily harden us. It means volunteering and giving and listening and encouraging and asking how to help. So love in this moment is not abstract. Love is practical. Love is asking what is needed. Love is showing up. Love is staying. Love is extending grace to people who are carrying more than we can see. And maybe that is the deeper invitation before us now, which is to love. To love not only with our words, but with our presence. To love through advocacy. To love through solidarity. To love through grace and compassion and service. And if that is the invitation, then the question becomes how we will answer it. The nonprofit sector in 2026 is under real strain. So that is true. Financial instability is real. Workforce burnout is real. Rising community demand is real. And the political and policy environment is contributing to that strain in ways that we cannot afford to ignore. But there is another truth that is just as important. Even now, nonprofits are showing up. Nonprofits are still feeding, they're still healing and teaching and housing and organizing and mentoring and advocating. Nonprofits are still creating belonging where there is isolation, support where there is fear, and hope when hope is in short supply. And so the question before us is whether we will match their courage with our own, right? Will we advocate for the changes that our communities need? Will we trust our nonprofits and will we stand with them? Will we choose love, expressed through grace and service and solidarity? You each have a note card that you are given today, and I want to invite you, before we leave today, to write down one action that you can take in the week ahead to support a nonprofit that you care about. Maybe that action is to make a gift. Maybe it's to volunteer. Maybe it's to call a policymaker. Maybe it's just to ask them what they need. But whatever it is, let it be real and let it be yours, because nonprofits cannot carry this moment alone. They need you. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. I appreciate ending on a hopeful note for all of us. Our next speaker is Obed Arango, who is the Executive Director of Centro de Cultura, Arte, Trabajo e Educación. He is a Mexican anthropologist and filmmaker and founder and executive director of Zacate in Norristown. He also lectures on social policy and communications courses at the School of Social Policy and Practice at the University of Pennsylvania, and I have had the pleasure of hearing him speak multiple times and have left every time more inspired than when I arrived. So please join me in welcoming Obed.
Muy buenas tardes. Good afternoon. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here, and thank you for the invitation. And it's so beautiful to see a community of faith and also neighbors to gather together with the purpose to be sensitive on these times and to take action, which is much needed. And let me tell you today into first what is Zacate, briefly. Zacate this year turns 15 years old. Therefore, for us, no, it's quinceañero, no, it's 15 years, no. That for Latinos, believe me, that's very important. Therefore, this year we are having our 15-year anniversary, and it's a big deal for us. It has been 15 years of a journey, not an easy journey, but I will say a beautiful one. A journey full of love, a journey full of strength, a journey full of community. At Zacate, we have two philosophical stones. One says, all the knowledge of the world from everyone to everyone. In Zacate, we see ourselves as human beings, first of all. And we see everybody with knowledge that can be shared. Our youngest teacher has 11 years old. He teaches how to play the ukulele. He has been playing the ukulele since he was 7 years old, and all the other kids ask him to teach. Therefore, he's a teacher, you see? And the other philosophical stone that we have is Viva la Comunidad, long life to the community, which for us, the protagonist is the community. It's not one person, no another person, it's the community. Having said that, you want to think in Zacate, we divide in 3 different areas and a 4th one. The first one has to do with educational programs. In the educational programs, we have an after-school program that has been very effective, that has been very powerful, and it has had many recognitions. In that, we have also a high school group. We just came back from Boston, from our college road trip, where we visit Boston College, Amherst, Harvard, MIT, Babson College, and Wesley College. Every year we send between 7 to 15 kids to college, to universities. And this year we have 6 acceptance in Ivy Leagues. And these are first-time college students. Even many of them might be even first-time graduating from high school, from their families. But the families has big dreams. The community has big dreams. And we have seen through the years the strength and the wise action of all these immigrant families. Myself, I am an immigrant. However, I am an immigrant with privilege because I was able to come under a student visa. I was able to come to study, to continue moving forward. I didn't have to have the journey that many of the families with whom I work they have. But here we have a community full of strength, full of ideas, creativity, etc. The second area of SECAT is participatory action research. Since we believe that everybody has knowledge, we think that not only the universities produce knowledge or corporations, no, the community produce knowledge. Therefore, since 2014, SECATE has a group of parents, and right now we have 6 groups that learn research, qualitative research, technology research, scientific research. We have done research about lead in post-industrial areas. And an article just came out 2 months ago. We did 100 samples of blood test to see if there was already lead presence in our kids in Norristown. And we did this with Villanova University partnership. We have had publications on education, relationship of undocumented families with the school district. We have had research of youth participatory action research, where the youth set the agenda, where the youth say what is what matters to them, and then we adults go with them. Therefore, participatory action research for us is a big thing because it allows us to speak with legislators, with local officers, with authorities, in order to change or to suggest what changes the system needs. Therefore, knowledge, the production of knowledge. The third big area of SECATE, it has to do with media. Since 2014, we produce filmmaking. I am a filmmaker, therefore it became a little bit natural that the kids ask me how to teach, how to do filmmaking. But since then, we have an e-magazine that we produce. We have a podcast production. We just finished actually our recording studio that is beautiful. And people started to ask us, because we were doing the podcast in Spanish, people started to ask us, can you do it in English too? And we said, yeah. Therefore, right now we have 50 episodes in English, in Spanish, and 35 in English. Therefore, people can listen what we are thinking and reflecting. And in that sense, we are informing. We believe that information is very important, especially on these days, to differentiate what is fake news to what are real news. And finally, the fourth area has to do with immigration. As you know, after I came here to this country in 1999, and since 2001, I have here a rhetoric criminalizing the immigrant. We are the worst of the worst. We are portrayed as the worst of the worst. Everything that is going wrong into the country, blame the immigrant. Every deficit in every budget, blame the immigrant. Every crime, blame the immigrant. And what hammers that into the community, it is having a huge impact in our kids and in our teenagers. Every month, I work with the kids like a little test. I want to see how they are doing emotionally. It will break your heart that 2 months ago I told them, in one piece of paper, you know, we do art in SECATE always. If you go to, first come and visit us, the first thing that you will see in SECATE is art, all the time art. I ask the kids, in the front of the page, draw your dream. What is your dream? You know, what is the dream that you have? And no, you know, one kid says, I want to play like Messi, no? You know, soccer. Another kid says, I would like to be an astronaut. No? Another kid says, I would like to have my own business. All their dreams. And in the other side, I ask them to draw what is the obstacle that they have. I was thinking that they would say maybe lack of discipline. Maybe I need to do this, or maybe I don't have the soccer shoes. I don't know. 25 of the 30 kids put eyes. Eyes is my obstacle. And in that moment, you realize how much has penetrated in the heart of these young minds and how much anxiety is rising up in their lives. In Secate, we foster a place of love. When you come to Secate, I hope that the first thing that you will feel is love and care. And then we embrace these kids and we give them a space, to the teenagers and to the kids and to the high schoolers and to the families, a space for love, a space where they can feel safe. But knowing that they are having this kind of impact has made us to think how we can tackle these difficult times. Therefore, Secate has 4 steps actions, and with that I want to finish. The first action that we decided to do since November 2024 was what I call rings of solidarity. In words of Dr. Martin Luther King, it was to create the beloved community. Therefore, we have held 5 community assemblies where we invite officers and authorities from all levels, from local all the way to Congresswoman Madeleine Dean, Congresswoman Mary Gay Scallon. All levels, everybody in the same room, commissioners, local officers, municipalities, chief of police. And then we invite Penn Law School, Villanova Law School, and then we invite lawyers, and also we invite professionals of emotional health, and then we invite community. The last one, it was a beautiful assembly. We did it together with Health Park Foundation. We had 120 people together in 20 circles of dialogue. And everybody had to produce, a document. And in that has allowed us to really establish connections. The results of that, we are having a town hall presenting the results of these assemblies. It will be, I think, with the 29, I don't remember. But I will send the information on this. We are held in a town hall with the results of this. Therefore, rings, that has allowed us to know each other. That has allowed us to understand each other. The second thing that we are doing is information. There are a lot of fake news. And the anxiety in the community is rising up very quickly. There is a lot of information. The people do not trust in the authorities. The people has real fear. What is regular to us, to put kids to the school bus and to think that I will see my kid coming back, that's not real in the immigrant community today. When they say goodbye in the morning. I live in Bluebell. I don't live in Norristown. Nevertheless, I spend maybe 17 hours of my day in Norristown. But my neighbors in Bluebell, when I told them what was happening in Norristown, they say, "Oh, really? I didn't know that." No, I mean, life is good in Bluebell, everything is going well. But the worst it was when they told me, "Oh, they might have done something wrong. They deserve it of it." In that moment is when I realized how the criminalization of the immigrant has dehumanized the immigrant. Then for language matters. Therefore, for us, information is key. When you call out someone illegal alien, you are telling that that person is not human. First, is other, from another place, another planet, another reality. Therefore, do not deserve human rights or civic rights. You are dehumanizing the person. When somebody says that, it's dehumanizing the person. Therefore, the second thing it has to do that we say we need to use the right language is undocumented. The difference is a document that this country can produce. There is no need to separate families. There is no need to traumatize kids. There is no need to kill businesses that the immigrant families has opened and has created the jobs. There is no need to spend billions of dollars putting people in jail and in detention centers. 55 immigrants has passed away in detention centers. Therefore, there is no need for that. There is no need that our taxes go to that. Therefore, it's so important to denounce. It's so important to speak up. It's so important that those who have the privilege to be a citizen, to speak and to advocate in that. Information is key. And the third action is family preparedness, readiness. In Secate, since November, we are preparing the families, which is different than know your rights. To be ready is to say, what will happen if a family of mine will be detained? What we will decide as a community, as a family? Are we ready financially? Are we ready with the power of attorney that we need? Are we ready with what will happen to our kids? Therefore, in Secate, every Friday, we have family readiness. Family readiness. I don't think that there has been a week since I don't receive a call since January last year of a family that has been broken, that comes to Secate and asks me what to do. If I show you my phone, yesterday I had two calls. Therefore, you people of faith, pray for us. We need it. But also come together with your gifts, with your talents, to walk a journey with us. If you are a mental health provider, we need you. If you are someone who has certain gifts of health, we need you. Or if you are a lawyer, we need you. There is no gift that is waste. In Secate, we bring together the wheels to confront these difficult times. And the final thing that we are doing is putting together resources. When a family is hit with a detention, and the mother comes to me, I don't know how I will pay the rent of this month, or I don't know how I will feed my kids. At Secate, we don't have too much money, but we have been trying to help with 1 month. At least that person, that family can have the impact and resolve what is coming ahead. I have a fantastic team. The people who knows my team, Dr. Holly Link, Caitlin, Diana, is committed. I try to take care of them, not to burn them out, not to overwhelm them, because they do a lot. Then myself, how I care about myself, I look for silence. A lot of silence, a lot of drawing, a lot of writing, poetry, a lot of reflection, a lot of reading. I can listen for hours music that can relax me. I like to walk under the trees. That's the way that I care about myself. And I speak. This week I will be speaking at Eastern University. I'm having Madeline Dean in my class next week at the University of Pennsylvania. Tomorrow in my class I will have the Consul of Mexico speaking at Penn. Therefore I try to do my best on these times. But we need you. And pray for us. Think about of us. And get close to someone that you can help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Obed, for sharing so much about what's happening in Norristown and in the immigrant community right now. And I know you all know that joy is a form of resistance. So I hope that we all have a forthcoming invitation to join in the quinceañera in October. So please, Pat, we would love to be there to celebrate all of the wonderful things that you are doing in your community and the joy that abounds in the midst of such hard times. Our next speaker is Mike Hayes, who is the co-founder and director of the Montco 30% Project. In 2023, Mike Hayes co-founded Montco 30% Project, which advocates for more just housing policies so that one day everyone can live in a safe home or apartment that does not cost more than 30% of their gross income. He has called Montgomery County home for most of his life. His background includes journalism, local and state government, and many years in the service sector, all of which informed his views on the needs of working people. He lives in Pottstown, where he purchased his first home, thanks to the Mosaic Community Land Trust and assistance from Montgomery County's First-Time Homebuyers Program. So please welcome Mike Hayes.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you to your whole team. Thank you, Reverend. It's been a great few days here at your church. So when you first came in today, there were a series of tables back there, right? I want to tell you a quick story. I was at Lansdale Founders Day last summer at a tabling event, pretty similar, outdoors. And an older gentleman came up to me as I was explaining what Montco 30% does. And he turns to me and he goes, we have zoning and we have these regulations to keep those people out. And every once in a while, someone says the quiet part out loud, like he did. And I didn't quite know how to respond. And I bring that up as an antidote because we often think that our towns don't have these types of individuals who want to keep young people, people of color, and others out of their communities, but they still exist. And that's what drives me on a daily basis to continue the work. We think of home in different ways: our base, our nest, our familiar place of peace and quiet, and our space where we share life's ups and downs with the ones we love. My former town of Bridgeport, that's really the story of where Montco 30% began. So a little bit about our origin story. Back in August of 2021, Hurricane Ida battered parts of southeastern Pennsylvania with fierce winds, never-ending rain seemingly, and resulting floodwaters. My building, Bridgeport Suites, flooded so badly that it destroyed the basement floor apartments, evicting the tenants without notice, and knocking out elevator service for the next year. It was around that time that I went to a meeting at the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit in Norristown, and I spoke my piece about the need of workforce affordable housing, and I bumped into a woman, Deborah Brown, at the end of that meeting, and she said, "Mike, we should work together. Are you just one of those guys who shows up at meetings and speaks his piece and moves on? We should do something together." And that was where the spark started. Next thing we knew, we were planning a rally on the courthouse steps in Norristown, and one thing has led to another. We are in our 3rd year anniversary right now, so we're kind of in the toddler phase. We've learned to crawl and speak, and people know who we are, and we're starting to agitate a little bit. So it's all good. But at the same time, we are failing too many of our citizens in Montgomery County, many of whom work in essential jobs, sometimes multiple jobs, yet cannot afford the rent. They might encounter a calamity that leaves them on the brink of catastrophe and financial ruin. It's a quiet storm that's unrelenting. But these systems, and yes, they are systems, are often major contributors to homelessness. A more proactive and progressive government would not watch millions of its own citizens become cost burden while they try to keep a roof over their head. It was FDR who said true individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. Did you know roughly half of renters in Montgomery County spend more than 30% of their income on housing? Some folks spend way more than this, such as a person on Social Security disability who might spend 90% of their monthly income on the rent because they really don't have a choice, right? So that's where our name comes from, Montco 30%, the pursuit, the vision of a future where no one spends more than 30% of their income on housing. I mean, hell, I even have a pretty decent government job. I purchased my first home through a land trust, and for me, I'm still around 35, 40%. It's tough out there. So what can we do together to address this crisis? First of all, I want to mention we are co-sponsoring a rally day in Harrisburg on June 2nd. If you'd like to take a bus, we are meeting with state lawmakers in Harrisburg June 2nd to advocate for more housing policies, that look out for working people, as well as our mental health needs throughout the Commonwealth. So you can participate in that. I have a flyer and a brochure out on the table out there. I want to talk a little bit about zoning. Zoning might sound dry, but it's crucial. This is where the action really happens at the local level. Author Richard Kallenberg writes in his book, Excluded. Simply put, snob zoning blocks opportunity. Where you live in America dramatically shapes your opportunities and those of your children. Neighborhoods determine one's access to transportation, employment, decent health care, and good schools. These are things we all want. If exclusionary zoning is a fountainhead of economic and racial inequality, artificially driving up prices, and is bad for the environment, why does it persist? The short answer is for generations, politicians have been terrified to address the issue, but that's changing. It's changing in communities such as Upper Gwynedd, where about 6 months ago, their township commissioner said, you know what? We're going to approve 60 workforce townhomes for the community because it's the right thing to do. What do I mean by workforce? The prices are capped at about 60% of an individual's income. So we're talking like $40,000 to $60,000 household income. It's huge. I mean, sure, it may seem like a drop in the bucket, but if every one of our 62 municipalities produced something like Cornerstone at Pembroke, we would be making real progress. Real progress. It helps teachers, police officers, and people like my parents. So my parents had to flee for the state of Delaware to find an apartment like this, but they found one. So before I worked in State Rep Joe Cerisi's office, I was a reporter at the Mercury newspaper. And long before that, I was a carpenter's apprentice working for my dad. He ran his own small business for 30 years. They had a solid suburban life. But around 2017, they fell on hard times, and my parents moved to a Hatfield trailer park. They weren't happy to be there, but it was the best they could do. So fast forward to this past weekend. I visited my parents in Milton, Delaware, where they moved after about 10 years in a manufactured home to a place called Cypress Grove. So in Cypress Grove, they also decided to do the right thing, despite NIMBYism, despite concerns, despite some of the fear that we heard earlier from our previous speaker, Obed. There is significant fear, but they rose above it. And on an April evening in Milton, Delaware, the town's Planning and Zoning Commission took action that will help reshape my parents' golden years. The commission members approved a conditional use application for Cypress Grove to designate 36 apartments as workforce housing. Located off Route 16, Cypress Grove opened 246 units of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. Who's going to live there, you ask? Well, as the applicant told the board, he said, it's going to be teachers, it's going to be policemen. Half the service level employees that live in Sussex County, Delaware, particularly in their younger years, are going to qualify for this housing. If you go to a restaurant and wonder, geez, why don't they have enough servers here tonight? It's because they can't afford to live in the community. It's because we don't have the housing like this available to them. And thankfully, the board approved it. We are making strides here in Pennsylvania. I am so happy to see that it's now a focus in Harrisburg. Thankfully, we have a housing action plan that was put out by our governor about 2 months ago. We're chipping away at this issue, but we have to keep up the pressure on our local officials if we're going to see this through to fruition. And if I leave you with nothing else today, I'd like you to remember that there really is nothing to be scared of when we talk about accessible, affordable workforce housing in our community. By any of those names, it's just for people like you and me and people like my parents. And if we continue to fight for what's right, I feel like we can bring the cost burden down and get more people housed. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mike. Our next speaker is Fran Held, who is the founder and executive director of Mitzvah Circle. Fran is a lifelong volunteer, a community leader, and a tireless advocate for people struggling under difficult circumstances. Raised in a low-income household by a single mother, Fran turned her lived experience with poverty into a lifeline for others. In 2009, she founded Mitzvah Circle out of her garage with a commitment to restoring dignity and hope to families in crisis. Today, Mitzvah Circle is the only organization in Southeast Pennsylvania providing holistic support for the entire family from infants through seniors. Under her leadership as executive director, Fran transformed a garage-based startup into a powerhouse of compassion. Last year alone, Mitzvah Circle served over 500,000 people, distributing 3.3 million diapers, 1.4 million menstrual products, and delivering 22,000 personalized care packages directly to the doors of families struggling with poverty and serious illness. Fran dedicates her life to ensuring no one faces their darkest moments alone, and by providing essential goods and compassionate support, Mitzvah Circle bridges that gap for families who have nowhere else to turn. Please join me in welcoming Fran.
So about 15 years ago, I got the call. Well, maybe not that call, but a call. And it was from a soccer coach who had been helping a family with 2 young kids and a mom with breast cancer. And somehow he had my cell phone, and he said, "I heard you're a lady who will help when no one else will." And I said, "I think you have the wrong number." True. He yelled, "Don't hang up," and I didn't. I didn't hang up because when the person before you is suffering, we have an obligation to alleviate even a tiny bit of that suffering. And so I listened. That soccer coach told me about the mom having stage 4 breast cancer and 2 young children being overwhelmed, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to help, which may be how some of you are feeling here today. But I found concrete ways to support this family at this difficult time. It was rough, but we helped. And word of mouth is a powerful thing, as you might imagine. And without any marketing, suddenly people were leaving donations in the driveway of my home, and people in need were calling my cell phone for help. I grew up with a single mom, and my entire life was spent applying for every scholarship known to mankind. And I never would have believed in a million years that what started in my garage now, several locations later, Mitzvah Circle has a 25,000 square foot forever home that serves hundreds of thousands of our neighbors each year. I want to tell you about Bob. He's a 61-year-old man who had a heart attack a few months ago. And he ended up in the hospital, and then he went to rehab. But Bob lost his apartment and everything in it. He works for a small local landscaping company, and Bob's boss allowed him to return to work after that extended absence. But knowing Bob was now homeless, he wasn't sure what to do or how to help. Bob's boss decided that he could help by allowing Bob to sleep in his unheated shed where he keeps his landscaping tools and equipment. And honestly, Bob appreciated this gesture because there were no other options. One of Bob's coworkers told him to call Mitzvah Circle for help, and Bob said he wasn't really about asking for help, but he knew in this moment he just didn't have any other options. So one of the things we do at Mitzvah Circle to prevent homelessness is we ask individuals who call us the following. We say, if we give you an air mattress, sheets, a blanket, some toiletries, do you have a friend or a family member, someone who would take you in and allow you to stay until you get back on your feet? And for some people, this really works. But sadly, Bob had no one, not a friend, not a relative, not an old neighbor. So what did we do? We delivered to Bob in the unheated shed. But Mitzvah Circle didn't deliver to Bob what we thought he needed. We asked him, do you need a sleeping bag? How are you for clothing? What about shampoo? Could an air mattress fit? What would be more helpful? And then we listened, because that's what we do. We listen, and then we personalize the care we give when people are suffering. The families we serve are struggling with homelessness, poverty, crisis, and serious illness. These are families in our own backyard. People don't advertise. 98% of the people we serve live below the poverty line, and you may be very surprised to hear 70% are employed. An additional 10% of these are adults working a second job or enrolled in school like trade school or college. We serve families directly and also through social workers, and we have our own network of agencies, 300, who we vet and select based on them working in the poorest zip codes in our area. Our partners can pick up most needed items from us monthly. They can refer clients. They can receive things like new clothes, pads and tampons, baby diapers, Depends, things that we purchase, but we give them at no cost so that they can provide them to the families in their neighborhood that they serve. Mitzvah Circle provides case management, coaching, referrals, as well as some of the things I mentioned, like diapers, toiletries, household goods, laundry soap, over 100 different products, and delivers them to your door free of charge. These items that we cover are not covered by government assistance. So in the first year, we served 400 families, and last year, over 120,000. A high percentage of these families have one person in the house with a serious mental or physical health condition. But our model is unique, not just because we deliver to the homes of the families, but we personalize the care for each one, from infants to the elderly. We know if the parents don't have clothes and they can't go to work, then the children can't go to school without an adequate supply of clothes and supplies, and babies can't go to daycare if they don't have diapers. We want families to move forward with a sense of stability. That's why Mitzvah Circle bridges gaps. And what I want you to understand is that if an organization gives out coats for kids on Monday, and another one gives out free backpacks on Thursday, and the food pantry's open Wednesday, that's 2 blocks away, before that family is finished running around town picking up everything that they can't afford, they've lost their job from missing work. And our goal is to keep people employed and keep people in school. We hear from a lot of families who are walking along life's edge, who are unable to move forward because they just don't have the basics. It's the things we take for granted. And we meet these families where they are, in a rundown house, at their job at the daycare, after they got off work at the nursing home, or even like Bob in an unheated shed. I spoke to Laura. She's a single mom, works as a caregiver from 11 to 7 at night. When she gets off work, she comes home, gets the kids to school, and then attends Chestnut Hill College, where she's a full-time student, majoring in biology. She said, I'm going to graduate this May, but I can't afford the baby diapers and wipes for my baby. Once the rent is paid, I have no money left. But at the end of this semester, I will be able to do this on my own, and I won't need your help. God bless you for helping my family. Laura just graduates, and now she has a job with a pharmaceutical company, and she won't need our support again. But 2 years ago, the average family who asked for help received 3 boxes of goods. The average cost for those boxes is about $100 each. Today, there are more families facing financial crisis than ever before. We saw families asking for help, but there's been a 30% or greater increase in what the families are asking for, and now it's about 7 boxes. This is true for families like Tanya, who says, if you have clothes and coat for my son, pads and tampons and some laundry soap, I'll be able to give my landlord $100 this week, and I'll be able to avoid getting further and further behind on the rent. I don't make enough, and what I have goes to bills and food. But I want you all to know I'm trying, and I'm a good mom. No one wants to ask Mitzvah Circle for help with these essential needs, but sometimes there's nowhere else to turn. At Mitzvah Circle, we see what seems to be invisible to others. For the mom and her 3 boys who just escaped domestic violence with the clothing on their backs and is starting over, or the family who had their home burned to the ground and was left with nothing, or the baby born yesterday at a local hospital who can't go home because mom can't afford a car seat. They rely on Mitzvah Circle to meet those unmet needs, and we do, but it's harder than ever before. So I'm going to end with this. When Linda asked for help from Mitzvah Circle, she was a county employee at Montgomery County. Her daughter and granddaughter were living with her, and Linda told us that once the baby was born, it was just so much more difficult making ends meet. She never asked for a higher paying job, never said, "Can you help me with a car so I don't have to take 2 buses for work?" She said, "Please give me diapers for my granddaughter, clothing and soap so we can be clean." She said, "I want to thank you for all you've done for me and my family. I'm grateful for your help, and I count it as a joy and as a blessing. Thank you for your hard work, consideration, compassion, and kindness of heart to help people in need. It means the world to me while giving me hope and strength that me and my family are not forgotten about, and somebody in this world actually cares. Someone can see our struggle. May the Lord bless and keep all of your families at Mitzvah Circle in his loving care. And for you, I will always be praying." And this is what happens when we really look and see the suffering of our neighbors, and we're here to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Fran. If you did not sign in when you arrived, we want to encourage you to leave us your name and email before you go so that we can make sure to send along information about all of the organizations that our speakers are sharing with us today, with some notes about how you can help these organizations directly. Our last nonprofit speaker is Eli Muraru, co-founder and president of the Community Grocer, and a grantee of the Tigers Foundation. Eli Muraru is an award-winning social entrepreneur with a deep commitment to food justice and neighborhood-led change. A summa cum laude graduate of the University of Pennsylvania in 2021, Eli has been recognized as a Forbes 30 Under 30 honoree in the social impact category by the Philadelphia Business Journal as an Inno Under 25 honoree, awarded the inaugural Penn President's Sustainability Prize by the University of Pennsylvania, and has been featured on MSNBC, Now This, the Philadelphia Inquirer, and NPR, among others. With roots in political activism and a love for all things food, I'm with you there, Eli brings a people-powered approach to building systems that work for everyone. As co-founder and president of the Community Grocer, he is reimagining the corner store as the new pillar of health equity, nutrition access, and community resilience from soil to supper. I'm excited to welcome Eli Muraru.
Okay, Jack, good. Real quick, can we get a round of applause for Pastor Keith, Jenny, and all of you? It is so hard to put on events like this on a rainy Sunday, really. And also one more for all the speakers, and they're amazing, truly. Hello, everyone. My name is Eli Muraru. I'm the co-founder and president of the Community Grocer. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., where Alex, who's my co-founder, and I actually grew up 6 blocks from each other, went to the same synagogue, but never met until we were here in Pennsylvania at Penn. And our work began, one of the interesting things, when you drive from DC into Philadelphia, the first things you're greeted by is the refinery. And Alex, my co-founder, was an environmental justice major and had to write a senior thesis. And in 2019, he's sitting at his desk when that atomic bomb explosion goes off in the middle of the night of the refinery exploding. And as a senior who had to write a thesis, he thought, well, what better to write about than that? And he goes to the city, he goes to the refinery, and he asks for air, ground, and water quality data. And they go, there were no abnormalities that night. And of course, we both lived in a house on Walnut. We saw the plumes of smoke, the orange sky every night. We knew that could not be true, but that's what they said. And he was given just a small budget from the University of Pennsylvania to go talk with neighbors without a hypothesis, without any questions. Just tell me your story, what it meant to be a neighbor in the Tasker and Wilson public houses that are built right alongside the fence of the refinery, and tell me about that night. And that turned into, instead of one night story, a generation of the slow violence of a refinery on a community. The violence inflicted, the cancer rates, the asthma, the smells, the sounds, the taste. And that was our first welcome out of Penn and into Philadelphia for the first time. And that turned into walking tours, digital tours, and community-led research that helped make the decision to not reopen the refinery after that explosion. From there, Alex stuck around. He did community work, brought me in to do voter registration work one day. I was a political science major. And like Alex, I never left. And that was under the wings of Charles and Tammy Reeves, who run the Resident Action Committee too. His father was a civil rights activist. That's now Pop, that's Grandma. I spent Father's Day with them. I took them to the Phillies game last week. And it was there that the pandemic happens. It's my junior year. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, but hey, I'm here in Philly. Let me support the Reeves. Let me support the Resident Action Committee too. And that was everything from clothing handouts during the pandemic to street cleanings to after-school Zoom programs, and then food for the first time. We were tasked with passing out those USDA farm-to-family food boxes. And if you all remember, it was those 3-mile-long car rides or car lines where people were triple masked, putting boxes in the back of cars. In Philly, we don't have that car infrastructure. So instead, it was me, Alex, Mr. Reeves, and our teenage volunteers given 800 boxes of excess government ingredients. Think raw chicken, a sack of potatoes, some cheese, some very sweaty milk, a "you're welcome" note from Donald Trump, literally, and some yogurt that possibly exploded. And it got us thinking of food for the first time, where we stand there on the corner each week trying to pass out these 800 boxes, and we don't have a dumpster, we don't have a budget, but we have a lot of time. And it was learning and asking from neighbors, why is it taking so long to pass out these boxes? We know people are hungry. We know people are struggling during the pandemic. Why is this not working? And for our seniors, they couldn't lift the boxes. They're 25 pounds. For our youth, what's a 9-year-old going to do with a raw chicken and a sack of potatoes? And even our mothers, right, who in theory know how to roast a chicken, to boil a potato, and put a recipe together, the nearest grocery store to get the olive oil, to get the salt, to get the pepper to complete that recipe is 2 buses away, and the buses aren't running. So this got us thinking about food for the first time. How is it that in Philadelphia we have 250,000 food insecure neighbors, yet 40% of food in this country is wasted, right? We're thinking about this all the time. And as I'm standing on the corner, and I don't live in Tasker, I'm living on Penn's campus, I have a grocery store, I have everything. In the 8 to 15 hours a day I'm passing out these boxes, the only food we have is the corner store. And the corner store is selling chips and soda and ultra-processed foods at nearly a 10-to-1 ratio. And so when I'm there, all I can eat is chips and soda. But I have the privilege of going to my grocery store, whatever I need to do. But as our teenage volunteers showing up every morning with Skittles and an Arizona tea for breakfast, using Mom's SNAP card. And SNAP is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as food stamps. All of this is happening. And we just ask our neighbors, starting with the lessons we learned with the refinery, just listening. What would you wish food looked like coming out of the pandemic, knowing this will soon end? Hopefully. We didn't know, but it did. And they kept saying one thing: I wish I could use my benefits for a hot, healthy meal in my community, but I cannot. But you can't. What? So I, poli-sci major, start looking up why is it that in the federal policy, with your food stamps, you can get Skittles for breakfast, but not scrambled eggs. You can get a Pepsi, but you can't get a rotisserie chicken. Why is this possible? So I Google, Command F SNAP on the Farm Bill, all 4,000 pages. And it says there, you cannot use your benefits for anything hot or prepared with the intention of on-premise consumption. What does that mean? It means, yes, you can buy fresh groceries, you can buy raw ingredients, you can buy soda, you can buy Skittles, but you can't buy anything hot or prepared. And for our low-income neighbors in Philly, our low-income neighbors anywhere, they're working more, they have less available time, their kitchens might not be working, that this creates real barriers to eating healthy. So for us, we said, okay, let's figure out a way to get hot food in your community for food stamps. Let's do it. And right on the USDA website, it says, you buy, we fry illegal. Meaning if I were to sell you raw chicken with your SNAP benefits or cash, but then cook it up for you for free afterwards, That's illegal because it's on-premise preparation. And Alex, my co-founder, very casually one day goes, well, what about you buy, they fry? What if we separated premises? What about that? And that was a light bulb moment for us. And so I emailed the Harvard Food Law Policy Clinic on the corner, on my phone, just said, hey, I'm here with my neighbors. We have some questions. What about you buy, they fry? What if the front half on this side is Unit A, a grocer selling an all-day menu of farm-fresh ingredients, but ingredient kits. So unlike those boxes on the corner, it's everything a mother, a family, an individual needs for a full meal, minus the point of cooking. But we know, right? You're a kid who can't reach a stove. You're a senior who has arthritis. You're a mom working 3 jobs. Even raw ingredients alone, even if it's prepackaged like a HelloFresh, might not meet your routine. So you need to have the pathway towards preparation. So we said, what if we put a wall right here? And in Unit B, off premises, is a workforce development training kitchen where the ingredients you just purchased, you can walk outside and trade them in for the equivalent hot and ready version. We reach out to Harvard. They said, holy crap. No one's thought of it this way. Give us a summer, we'll get back to you. And they did. 2 months later, they came back with a memo, which became the basis for the community grocer, which is everything I just said. A front half grocer selling an all-day menu of farm-fresh ingredient kits that are prepackaged, pre-marinated, SNAP eligible, but also cash, credit card, you name it. And then next door, a workforce development training kitchen where young people and returning citizens can get culinary skills, career education, and paid on-the-job training to serve their community healthy, delicious, nutritious meals. So we took that idea, we took it to Penn. We won the 2022 Penn President's Sustainability Prize, which was our first 100,000, which was great. Now that's like one oven and a change order. But it got us our start, and that was in 2022. So we raised money, and we bought a building in cash with every single dollar we had. That was a 2-year journey to not just find a building that worked for us, because after the refinery shut down, we couldn't afford anything in the Tasker area of Philadelphia. So we immediately took our idea on the road, found our home, which was crazy. On Christmas Eve, we had a place after 6 months of negotiation. A pipe burst, flooded the whole building, ruined the deal. So it took us 2 years to find a building that was zoned correctly, we could afford, and a community that was ready to build it with us. And again, not showing up saying, we have an idea. It was, do we want to build this together? Because me and Alex are 2 white kids from DC. This is not our idea. It is our collective vision for a stronger, healthier tomorrow. So we bought our building in cash with every dollar we had. We've raised $1 million to bring this vision to life. We quickly realized this building's going to be a little bit more expensive than that. So we looked for a construction loan. And it was the community development financial institutions that are here. Those are banks with a mission. They get federal dollars to help take on riskier loans for the better of humanity, for the better of this country. And we go to them and we go, hey, we have this idea. It's approved by Harvard. We have the support of Penn. Give us a loan. And they say 2 things. One is fair, one is not. The first thing they say is, how are you ever going to have a grocer with kitchen labor, right? How are you going to have all the kitchen labor to prepare the meals on grocer margins? That's a very fair question. And that's where Congressman Evans, he told us to build that workforce program. So we hired Joy Parham, who's our workforce director. She's a single mother, lives 2 blocks from the store, but is also the head of the culinary program at the Community College of Philadelphia. So she builds this program. It's certified with the Department of Labor, the state. Now, okay, those costs are gone. We get grants from the government. We get grants from funders. We get grants from folks like you guys. Give us a loan. And it was there where they go, that's good. All good stuff you're saying. Financials in theory should make sense. But we haven't seen any low-income communities across this country, whether it's West Philadelphia or West Virginia, support fresh food access. Go pay McKinsey $250,000 to do a retail study. And we're like, no. I'm not paying my Penn classmates who live in New York to come to West Philly to say this can or can't work. But really what they're saying is we don't believe in the purchasing power of SNAP, which, as you know, since HR 1 has been diminished from about $625 per day per household to $525 per day per household, which is never enough to support a store, to support a community, or support a family. But it was there where they go, we actually just don't believe that low-income people want to eat healthy, is what they said to us. And we go, okay, wrong. But we'll prove it to you that there is purchasing power and need. And we went to listen, and it was Mr. Gary, who's a senior who lives on the left side of the block, right where our store is, who lost his leg due to diabetes. In our neighborhood where we're at in Southwest Philadelphia, it is 39 out of 45 for quality of life here in Pennsylvania. 1 of every 2 of our neighbors has type 2 diabetes. 66% of our neighbors over 65 have hypertension. And life expectancy is under 70 years old. So that's where we're working. But it was Mr. Gary who lost his leg due to diabetes. We watch as every 2 weeks he gets a delivery of factory meals from a factory in Iowa. So it's not supporting local farmers, it's not creating local jobs. And we watch as he never eats it. He opens it and feeds it to the cats and the birds. And the cats and the birds aren't even eating it because it's food that had to survive a plane ride to Philly, get in a distribution facility, get in on a truck, go sit on his front stoop for 3 hours, then live in his fridge for 2 weeks. So you got to think about the quality of food that is. But we go, that's food right there. Someone's paying for it. Why can't we do that? And so we did. And we've since then been working with our health plans and health providers who are paying for food the same way we pay for pills out of our store, making us one of America's first brick-and-mortar retail food pharmacies, where if you have hypertension, or specifically we're working with Penn Medicine for postpartum, so any mother who gives birth in our zip code is getting $75 a week to the community grocer to see how we improve health outcomes. And when you improve health outcomes, you create savings, and therefore, health insurers can pay for food the way we pay for pills. So with those studies, we went back to the loan committee and we said, hey, we have some research, we have some funding, give us a loan. And they did. So since then, we've been under construction for 2 years. It's supposed to be an 8-month project. I'm learning. But in the meantime, we've been serving our neighbors every day ever since. So it's as a small team of 4, when the SNAP crisis emerged, when thousands and thousands of Philadelphians and Americans got kicked off their benefits and weren't receiving their benefits just a few months ago, our team has been renting out a commissary kitchen. As a team of 4, we were serving 1,000 neighbors a week with fresh, delicious, healthy meals. Our team has since grown, and thanks to a lot of volunteers, we're continuing that work until our opening, where we serve 250 families each week with fresh, healthy, delicious meals, and we also serve another 300 with just fresh groceries coming from local farms. So here we stand. We have a very exciting few months ahead. We are 60 days away from the end of construction, and then about another 40-ish days from our opening. Where we will open this first of its kind retailer, the first place to do hot food for food stamps legally, a workforce development provider. We've already actually started our workforce program with our first few apprentices. Lee, he came in not knowing how to hold a knife properly or turn on an oven. He was 18 years old. He just turned 19 last week. On Friday, he chopped, prepped, and made 150 full chickens by himself. So that, and by the way, I can't do that. I'm terrible in the kitchen. So as we finally, after 4.5 years, it's been 4.5 years to get to this point, we're about to open our doors, where instead of 1,000 neighbors a week, our store should be able to support and feed over 1,000 neighbors a day. And this is a vision that we hope that every community can have, that for too many Americans, food access is not a given. It is not a right. And you see Mamdani talking about it. You see what's happening in Atlanta. But we think we have the solution for every single community to be built with intention, doing it as a nonprofit. And we did this as a nonprofit for a reason, right? We are selling food, but it's to keep our prices as low as possible so all of our neighbors can eat well while keeping our lights on, that this is sustainable and meant as community infrastructure for everyone. So as we get through these next 60 days of construction, my one ask for you guys is to join our community. And I think there's so much the nonprofit sector is struggling with. Like, look, because of federal craziness and everything going on, our neighbors are getting kicked off their health benefits. We're doing a lot of work and advocacy to keep our neighbors on their benefits, whether it's SNAP or Medicaid. We're also losing grants. We had a state grant we had a contract for, the money never came. And I think all of us are feeling that in this moment. So what we ask for and what we continue to do, it's in the name, is to be in community, right? Come out, support. Take a picture, share our story. If you have funding, I will never say no to that, of course. But for us, it's to grow this vision because it's one corner store in Southwest Philadelphia. That's it. That's all we've been building for 4.5 years. But with that, we've created a national movement of what's possible when we come together, when we build with intention, and we address broken systems, very much broken, to build a stronger, healthier tomorrow. So with that, I'll be at the table afterwards. Take a picture. My back has a QR code. You can scan it to our website. And I just want to thank you all for coming out here, because this is community, right? What Pastor Keith and Jenny and all of you did today and are doing continually is building community. If we all take care of each other, no one can stop that. So with that, come find me, get a picture of my QR code, and thank you for your time.
And last but not least, we want to welcome State Representative Ben Sanchez to come up and speak. Ben was elected to represent the 153rd Legislative District in Montgomery County on November 6, 2018. As a lifelong district resident, Ben understands his diverse community and continues to build on his record of fighting for the hardworking residents of Abington and Upper Dublin, if you're lucky enough to have Ben as your representative. His legislative priorities include common sense gun safety legislation, and he was here at this event last year to talk about gun safety legislation, supporting public education, protecting the environment, and expanding access to health care for all Pennsylvanians. And we are delighted to have him join us today to talk about the state of the state. Thanks, Ben. Welcome.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you all. And I want to note at the outset here that other people referenced they had 10 minutes, but Jenny, being wise with an elected official, said you only have 5 minutes. Let's keep it short. We want to get to the Q&A. So, and now I'm wasting time making jokes, but no. Thank you so much, and thank you, Jenny and Keith, for having me into your home once again to be with the community and be with some pretty awesome change makers and leaders, and I know everyone in this room is a change maker and a leader of sorts, but I'm very proud to be familiar with and have worked with almost each and every one of the organizations, and look forward to even furthering those relationships, and thank you for the important work you do every day. And I know you couldn't do that without the support of people in this room here that are coming out on a Sunday afternoon to be together and to try to be the change. And I know the stories we heard are so inspirational and hopeful, but still very daunting what these organizations have achieved, because change is not easy. And hopefully, that came through in the themes as they talk about it. It takes hard work. And when we talk about change, we know it's easy to get consumed by how overwhelming that task can feel. And we may think it's something that's only driven by large institutions or individuals in government like myself. But the truth is, the most meaningful change we see across Pennsylvania and across the world really begins with people like yourselves, neighbors, families, and communities coming together with a shared purpose. Because our collective power is not just an idea, it's something we see in action every day. It's in the voices that speak up, even if they're only speaking to one other person in the room. The partnerships that form naturally or because of a common cause, and the persistence of individuals who refuse to let their communities be overlooked. When people work together, you not only amplify your concerns, but their importance in our Commonwealth. And at the state level, we're seeing encouraging, albeit slow, progress. We just saw it recently, this past week, by our Governor Josh Shapiro on Thursday. After public pushback, including those of us legislators in Montgomery County who approached them together about our dissatisfaction, PECO Energy rescinded their recent request to raise their energy costs again, the rates we're paying on the bill. Thank you. Yes. And applause to yourselves, because that was a community-driven effort. And that effort was proof that what we all do together, big and small, makes a huge difference for the outcomes of our communities. And whether it's increased attention to community investment, like the recent grant funding for the new Upper Dublin Township building, expanding access to essential services like those rates, the PICO rate paying, or policies that aim to create more equitable opportunities for all Pennsylvanians, like our recent passing of the marriage equality bill in the House of Representatives. These shifts happen because people like you speak up, organize, and stay engaged. And it often makes me think of our state budget process, which we're in the thick of each year. It's a multi-billion dollar, over $50 billion now spending vehicle, and we always describe it as our priorities set forth in numbers, in dollar signs. And I can tell you, I've seen it now, I'm probably through my 8th budget process, and we've seen it, I've seen the needle change, the needle move by people advocating for their dollars, and the dollars that add up to that 50 billion can be, even in the smallest of increments, can be transformative to an organization and really make change in the community. So that's why the advocacy on those items are so important. I know it's people think, well, does it really matter if I call a legislator? Does it matter if I send a letter to somebody? It matters. I know I'm listening, but I know others are listening, and they are going to try to do the most that they can, and even if it's something, it's better than nothing. So this is why your role is so important. Advocacy does not require a title, it requires commitment. Stay informed, reach out to those of us in government who are here to serve you, and attend local meetings like the one here today or other government meetings, and support the organizations doing the work on the ground like our friends here. Your voice, especially when joined with others, carries real weight. And together, we can shape a future that reflects the needs, hopes, and potential of every community across Pennsylvania. So I want to thank you again for having me here today. And please know my door is always open, and my office is always here to help with any state-related needs. And I'm proud to be a part of this collective effort to keep our community moving forward. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Representative Sanchez. I just want to say Representative Sanchez's office and our other representative, Missy Serrato, their offices never say no to any of us when we ask for their partnership and their allyship. So we're very grateful to have you, Ben. Thank you, representing our community. So before we invite Voices Rising Philly up for a little bit of joyful noise, hopefully you all received an index card when you came in. If not, hopefully there's one on your bench. If you have questions for our panelists, who are going to be up here together in just a moment, please feel free to write those down. You can send them towards the center and we'll collect those. And then after Voices Rising Philly has led us in some song, we will invite our panelists up together to answer a few questions. So Voices Rising Philly. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting us to be part of such a optimistic event. In these times, we all need that. And when I hear young people like Eli, I enjoyed all the speakers, but I have to say, the world is in good hands. Thank you. Thank you. And we're all watching Mamdani to see a different kind of public grocery. So this next song is by songwriters currently based in Nashville named Chris Matthews, C-R-Y-S. When people ask me, and I do some work in radio, people are like, where are the protest songs of today? I tell them to look up Chris Matthews, and there's many others, but she calls herself a social justice songwriter, and she wants these songs to be taken out in the community. On the most recent No Kings protest day, she dropped a studio version of this you can find. It's called Forged in Fire. And because of the folk process, and she's fine with this because I saw her when she came through Philly, the last verse is mine that I wrote for Voices Rising Philly, because most of the folk process we do that. So it's call and response. So you again, are you ready to make a joyful noise? When I saw her in Philly, another great local social justice songwriter is named Samantha Rise, and they did a co-bill with her at the Falzer Club, which if you don't know it, it's in East Falls. It's a great music venue. And she said a quote that has really stuck with me. Samantha Rise reminded us, "It is next to impossible to be afraid and singing at the same time." Now, she said you might be afraid at first, but if you keep singing, particularly in community with each other, we do that. And one of the reasons that singing has always been part of social justice movements, look up sometime, Google the history of I'm going to go blank on my brain. I'll think about it before we come up again. One of the songs that is core to this civil rights movement was often sung at times when, people were in jail and they were very, very afraid. So, that's what it was. We are not afraid. The line in "We shall not be moved," the added verse of "We are not afraid" came out when folks were in, filling up the Birmingham jail. So, you're going to learn a song called "Forged in Fire." So when I point to me, I sing the line. When I point to you, you sing the line. And my thanks again to the two stalwart members of Voices Rising Philly. You can find us, this is our name, this is our logo, on Facebook. If you want to join, you could join us. When faith is hard to find, and hope is on the decline, remember hate gets tired. Keep that steel in your spine. Is there a fire in your mind? Then get on the front line. 'Cause old thinking dies. It's just a matter of time. Is there a fire in your feet? Then start marching in the street. No backing down, no retreat. Till everybody gets free. When faith is hard to find, and hope is on the decline, remember hate gets tired. Keep that steel in your spine. If ice comes to our town, and there is fear all around, protect our neighbors and friends. Love will win in the end. When faith is hard to find, and hope is on the decline, remember hate gets tired. Keep that steel in your spine. Keep that steel in your spine. Keep that steel in your spine. Woo! Did it feel good? Did you make a joyful noise? You're part of the choir now. Okay. I hear that your own church choir couldn't be here, so we're glad we could recruit more choir for you.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Okay, we're just going to do a little bit of rearranging and bringing up our chairs, and then we're going to have our panelists come up for a quick Q&A, because I'm sure that you all have some fabulous questions, I hope, for our panelists. Sure, if you don't mind, thank you for helping everybody. It takes a village to bring up chairs. We just need 5, I think. Perfect. Thank you so much. Amazing. All right. If everyone could take a seat. Thank you so much. Great. No, we're good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. Can we have one more round of applause, please, for all of our panelists? So generously shared their time. Okay. Couple of questions. And we're going to share a microphone until we can get these ones working. Would the Wissahickon Faith Community Alliance, which is what this church is a part of, and other sponsors of this event consider setting up an interfaith educational series where families and their children can be introduced to other faiths other than their own? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Okay, action item for Keith Anderson. That's right. Amazing. Whoever wrote this said, I feel strongly that it is through understanding of others, the similarities and differences that enable us to coexist and live together in peace. So that's a lovely comment, absolutely. And so maybe a question for our panelists is, there were definitely some through threads that I heard when you were all speaking. One is the importance of listening to the needs of our communities. Could those working? Maybe you want to give one to Kristen over there, maybe one over here. Does anybody want to speak maybe to some other threads that you heard sort of amongst yourselves, or maybe commonalities amongst your communities that you saw that was really highlighted when you were listening to each other speak?
Yeah, one that came to mind, I think, with almost every speaker was this sense of overcoming stereotypes and overcoming fears. I heard it in terms of the remarks that I made, in terms of at the local level, there's often a lot of fear of the unknown, fear of what your community or your neighborhood might look like if they have like a workforce affordable development. Obed spoke about fear as well from ICE, fear of ICE. We heard from Fran. I mean, I think there are a lot of stereotypes when it comes to people with needs, whether it's basic food needs. We heard, that folks don't like to eat that healthy in the city, which is a complete farce, of course, right? So I think we can overcome these things just by getting to know people who don't look like us. I don't know if anyone wants to add to that. Yeah.
You can go first. So one thing I would say is that, this is a very difficult time for nonprofits. And at our nonprofit, we serve a lot of immigrant families and a lot of people who are afraid. And one thing that I'm most proud of is that we are a place of trust. And so people feel like they can come to us and they can make arrangements for us to assist them. And I really never, 15 years ago, thought this is the position I was going to be in, right? We have bilingual Spanish social worker. She's had her own stresses, afraid to come to work every day. She's a citizen, okay? And so I feel like when you're in your nice home for your Bluebell neighbors over there, I feel like there's a different feeling, right? Than when, we're in Lansdale and we drive to people in all of the neighborhoods and we help people who are documented and who are not documented. But the thing that I was asked this week that I found fascinating, because we keep a lot of data, well, how many people do you have that are refugees or that are undocumented? And we don't keep that data. I can tell you how many people we serve. I can tell you boys and girls. I can tell you how many in diapers, under 3, over 65, and under 22. But I don't keep that data. Why don't I keep that data? Because it doesn't matter. And if it mattered, right, then somebody could ask me and I would fork it over. But now I can say, we don't have that data, because at the end of the day, if you are loving all people, because we talked about that, that was one of your guidance, right? Pieces of guidance, right? And I think your pastor would say the same thing, right? If you're here to love all people, then all those check boxes don't matter. We are here to meet needs, all of us and all of you, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you, Fran. One of the themes that I noticed in so many of the remarks is that everyone here saw a need and stepped up. And it didn't always come about in a very traditional way, right? Like you were there, you said it was Deb. You and Deb are like, okay, let's do something together. And then you had this rally. Fran, you started something out of your garage, right? Not intentionally, right? You gave out yourself. Everyone here saw the need and stepped up, and I think that really speaks to what we all can do, right? You might just see yourself and see that there's a spark in you, so listen to that and nurture that, and then find someone else who shares that spark, and then get together, and all of a sudden there's a rally. All of a sudden you're teaching kids to follow their dreams and to become the journalists that they can be. All of a sudden now there's, what was it? It's heat and fry, no, wait, what was it? Hot food for SNAP legally. Okay, I was like mentally taking notes, but clearly it's like a colander these days, so I need a pen and paper. But I would just say that's something I really heard and took away, and I think that's a call for all of us, is to think about what is that spark? What can we all do? We see it, so let's step up, let's do it together. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that, and the fact that you are all ordinary people living ordinary lives, right? Amazing. Eli, there's a specific question for you. Where do you get the food from to prepare the meals? Are farmers involved?
That's my favorite question to get. Yeah, we're working with some incredible local farmers. My number one I like to name is Farmer John. She is the largest black-owned regenerative organic farm in all of Pennsylvania. We actually just invested $8,000 of our money so she can build a greenhouse so that in the winter we can get food from her, because obviously Pennsylvania winters are a little tough for farming. And that announcement's coming in 2 weeks, so if you follow us on social media, you will see that. But local farmers, local distributors, building with intention is the short answer here, is that for us it was saying, oh, if our health system dollars went into food access, if we put workforce dollars into infrastructure that serves community, that if we do all of this, right, with intention, we can build stronger local communities. And for us, it is a store you have to pay at, but at that same time, if an emergency strikes, we will now have the infrastructure locally to feed people, whether it's SNAP crises or a hurricane. And so short answer is local farmers, local distributors, Farmer John, and it's gonna be the best, freshest food. And it's crazy to see, like, when we started doing these free samples of, ooh, I've never tried a chickpea, gross, to I now love these chickpeas because it's starting with a meal, right? Instead of raw ingredients and then going backwards. And now our neighbors love our beet salad, are so excited for these new things they haven't tried. Not because they didn't want to try it necessarily, but they've never had the opportunity to.
Thank you. Oh, but I think this question for you is for you. It's a very broad one, so I'm going to ask you a little follow-up. The question was, how can we make our government fix immigration? So that's a big question. Perhaps you could speak to maybe one or two policies that would make a huge difference to our neighbors here in Norristown and Pennsylvania.
Well, first you need to know that within me there is a Martin Luther King and a Che Guevara, all the time trying to change that. Well, I think one of the things has to do, at local level, is so important to reach out, really reach out, your representatives, your Congress people, and voice the importance to change the narrative, because I think we have been fighting against a narrative. Last week, there was a gathering in the National Constitutional Center where 100 family members that have someone detained from all around the nation gathered together. And I was invited. I was there. And while listening, it came to my mind that the change of the narrative and to make it loud is key. It has been 35 years since we have been asking for an immigration reform, meaning that there is young people that came when they were 15, that today they are 50, and still without rights. People that has made their families here, that their kids are here. In some cases, even the grandchildren are here already. And it is not possible that a nation that, even when right now we are in dark times, human rights has been important to this nation. Therefore, it's very important to change the narrative. It's key. And for that, we need to dismantle the fallacy. Therefore, we need to go into the media, we need to go into the local newspapers, we need to communicate, we need to create podcast production, we need to use all media as possible to change the narrative. And that's one thing. The second thing is, if anything changes in the schedule, next week, Congresswoman Dean will be in my class at Penn. And my students, because I teach a capstone classes, therefore these are the final projects, some of my students took the challenge to work on a legislative memo for an immigration reform that we want to put in her hands when it comes the right moment for her to champion and to put it at front. And I know that we are not the only ones. I know that there are many others that are making similar efforts. Therefore, we need to continue pushing in that direction, to put it at front, to put it brighter. And believe me, I will not stop until that will happen. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm just going to add, I was with you, Obed, yesterday at Hellspark Foundation. They had their conference, and you spoke to the importance of local law enforcement and building trusting relationships with immigrant populations in particular, and the need for those local agencies, right, to stand with our immigrants and not with ICE by refusing to sign agreements to cooperate. So I think that's another.
I would like to say something about that. First, I was a guest speaker a few weeks ago with the 62 police chief officers of Montgomery County. And I give them thanks that from the 62 municipalities, no one signed the 287G. No one. And that is, believe me, that is a big thing. Montgomery County together rejected the 287G. That is a big, big thing. We cannot say the same in Bucks, we cannot say the same in Delaware, we cannot say in some others in which the local police has signed the 287G. Therefore, I told that to the police. We need to recognize that. And also we need to recognize the commissioners that just recently, the resolution of welcoming, all that slowed down the actions of ICE. Because when ICE do not feel welcome, their actions are slower, you see? Therefore, however, I learned, talking to Chief Trail from Norristown, that there are two schools of police. One that teach the police is law enforcement, and one that teach the police is public service. And then I told, I am encouraging local police from Montgomery County to change the language, to say we're a public service institution, not a law enforcement. Today, our community do not trust authorities. It's hard to trust the authorities. And I told them, if you start to change that we are just for the community, for public service, communities will start to trust you more than when you think law enforcement. Believe me, we know what is law enforcement. We have seen it. And that's why right now the community do not trust. Therefore, I really encourage that is also part of the change of the narrative. Whenever you have the chance to talk to your chief of police, encourage that change. Personally, I am doing it. I am asking them. And I believe that can start to change the narrative and start to bring the community in a joint effort with our authorities. But we need to change the narrative. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for speaking that. And 287G is the agreement that local police sign to help or not, right, help or not help ICE. Great, thank you. Okay, this is a question for everybody. The writer said, I love the idea of hacking a broken system instead of waiting for that system to change. Are there other examples in your sphere of influence where we could be hacking the system? That's a good question.
Does someone have it right away? I'm reflecting.
Yeah, so we had a very viral Inquirer article in 2023, had 16 million views overnight, craziness. It was called Penn Grads Find Snap Hack. So I know the word hack. I actually don't like that word because I like to say our story is one of a community coming together to build the store of their dreams in compliance. So instead what our team says internally is that we're creative compliance experts.
So language is important.
Language is important. One, language is important, but two, when you see a system or you see something that doesn't feel right, and the law, maybe the law, right, says you are an illegal immigrant, right, versus you are a human, that there's so many ways you can get creative with your compliance. If the police were to say, well, are you harboring, right? And I'm an immigrant. My father's an immigrant. I'm the son of an immigrant. Holocaust survivors and all of that, right? Are you harboring any undocumented immigrants? Well, no, I have people staying with me. I don't know their immigration status, right? That's one example, of course, maybe not a great one. But when I think of creative compliance and hacks, quote, unquote, it's just how do we build a better world around us and do it in a way that you don't necessarily need to go change federal policy. Like our whole work was, here's a federal policy that has stood for 60 years. And people have asked me since the beginning, well, why not just go to Congress and try to change the law? Thank you for laughing, yes. Versus what do our neighbors need today? And that's how I view creative compliance.
Thank you.
I think you have to do both. I think you have to help the person who's suffering before you, and you also need to change what has made them suffer. Right? Because if we help all of the people that we're trying to help, there's more people coming, and now more than ever before. So if I give out 50,000 cooking pots and can openers to all the people who get food at food banks but can't utilize it, right? That's for today, right? But that's not for the future, and we need to do both at the same time. So advocacy is important, and if you don't see yourself as somebody who does advocacy, turning up today is advocacy. Like just being here is advocacy, because I never thought of myself as someone who would go and speak on behalf of people who didn't have the things they need. But I go to Harrisburg all the time and I'm like, do I need a lobbyist? Like, do I need a person? They're like, no, you just have to tell what it is, and you can all do that. So it's feet on the ground, help someone in a way that you can, that works for you and makes your heart feel good, and then also advocate for those things that you see that make the world not really a great place for everybody, right? Because that's why we're here, right? We're here to have our gifts and to share them, not to hoard them.
I have some, okay. I'm not sure this is a hack, so I love that you knew right away, but I'm thinking about, to your point, Fran, about advocacy. There are so many ways to look at the system now, and you could stay in it. And then there's ways to look at it and think, this is broken, I can fix it. And so I'm gonna give a very specific example, but it's on my mind particularly because Mike was talking about housing. So bear with me, I know. Right now in Bucks and Montgomery counties, if someone goes through an eviction filing, right, I'm trying to think of how exactly I wanna say this. They're experiencing an eviction. That becomes a permanent mark in their record, right? No matter the outcome of that eviction. And interestingly, in Bucks and Montgomery counties, more than 1 in 3 evictions, there is no landlord judgment found, which means that it was either dismissed or it was found in favor of the tenant, but it's still a permanent record on that person's file. So when they go to try to find another affordable, safe apartment, it's a huge problem because the screening says, well, they have a previous eviction. There's no descriptive, there's no narrative there, it's just eviction. So right now there's legislation out that says, okay, let's do some eviction record sealing. So first, when it goes to court, that's immediately sealed, right? And so until there's an outcome, right? And then if it's found in favor of the tenant, it's dismissed, it's sealed, right? That no longer prevents them from getting a safe, affordable apartment. That's just a common sense, maybe hack, maybe solution. And if it's found in favor of the landlord, after 7 years, it's sealed, just like bankruptcy law, right? Just like the clean slate law, which Pennsylvania was the leader in. So there are solutions out there. We can look at systems and say these aren't working, and some of them are so common sense, just like that, to say, let's look at what actually is happening, and then let's respond, right? Not just everyone gets a permanent scarlet E forever, right? And so I think of that as ways that we can think about the laws that we have and challenge them, and then we can get really creative and innovative and say, well, where do we just need to dismantle that? So it's both.
I'll just add on to that. One quick hack can be found possibly in your own backyard. You've probably heard of what's called either an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, sometimes called a granny flat. If you are so inclined, and if you can afford to do so, I would encourage you to look into building an ADU on your property. And if you don't quite have the means to do that, check out your township and borough code. Look to see, how difficult is it to build an ADU in your township or borough? Do you have to be a member of the same family to live there? Some of our boroughs still have this silly rule on the books where if you put an ADU on your property, it really has to be occupied by your in-law or by your son or daughter. That stuff has to go because we're not adding enough units to supply, and this is a quick hack where I think we can change things.
Great, thank you. Okay, one final question. 5 of you have been together now for a couple of hours, and you've heard each other speak, and you've learned a little bit more about each other's organizations and the work that you're doing. Any connections that come sort of immediately to mind where you're like, I'm so excited now, Eli, I'm so excited to partner with Obed to see what we can do in his community. Any sort of exciting partnerships come up for any of you?
Well, yeah, the first one is I want to invite all of you to the podcast. That's the very first thing. In the podcast, we have 2 podcasts. One is called Dialogues of the Immigrant Village, in which we're analyzing immigration and we invite representatives. But the second podcast is called Organize, Mobilize, in which in this podcast, the characteristic is that the community start to know who is out there making changes and how they can join to those changes. Therefore, in that podcast, we invite other nonprofits, we invite young people, we invite creative people. Therefore, for now, that's the very first thing. I want to schedule with you a visit to the podcast, then we can interview you, and then people can start to know more about that.
Well, I'm excited to go on the podcast. But I think one thing, it's interesting, as we came in the room, we actually almost all knew each other. And the nonprofit space, it's actually large. Like, it's one of the largest industries in Pennsylvania. People don't know that. It's a huge workforce supplier. But also it's really small because we're all doing good work and we all can't do it alone in silos. And like for us, we have a whole community health education center on the 2nd floor. My organization cannot host programming and it never will. We just, not in our capacity. But to have you come and host your podcast upstairs one day for a live screening, or even flyers or information about housing, you name it. So with that being said, just to have this connection today, to continue to share each other's works, to be able to provide space to go on podcast, that's what excites me most. And even you're all part of this community now as well. You know about our work, we know about you a little bit, and I think elevating and sharing each other's work is the most important thing because dollars are stretched thin right now, truly. But whether it was us investing money into Farmer John so she can grow this winter and continue to bring in revenue, or to go on each other's podcasts and share each other's word, right? Like that is the best part of this. So I'll yield there.
I think it's great to see people doing the work because even though it sounds so grim and I feel like good for you all for hanging in there because I'm like, if I heard Kristen, I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. Hand out the tissues. This is horrible. But good for you for sticking it out. And I feel like that's how we feel, right? We feel like we're in it for the long haul, right? And we're in it with each other and we're here to support each other, just like we're here to support you and open to your questions and your thoughts and your concerns. So to me, I think that's what's so special is that people who are doing this work are very open to hearing not just from you, but from one another.
That's exactly right. So the woman to my left here, we had lunch about a week ago. I've known Kristen for a few years now, and she did not hesitate to promise to attend a Lansdale Planning Commission meeting tomorrow night, Monday night. And I think that's the kind of collaboration and partnerships that's really going to get us through these times, is just everyone standing up for each other, looking out for their neighbors, taking an occasional break when you need one, because, hey, we need self-care as well. But I would love to be on your podcast, Obed. We are of similar spirits in that we both keep a journal. I love that about you as well. And just a closing note for all of you, don't ever underestimate the power of an internet connection and a public library card, because that's really half the battle.
I love that. I think when I think about this panel, I knew most of you, Eli, this is the first time that I've gotten to really dig into your mission, but it strikes me that it makes me want to get to know your mission so much more because now I know a little bit about you. And every time I have a conversation with Fran and Mike and Obed, it brings me closer in because it's about the people, right? And I respect your missions, but then if I know you, now I'm really committed, right? Because I care about you. So I would say get to know these nonprofits, get to know the nonprofits that are in your neighborhoods, right? Get to know those people, because then they'll be in your hearts, right? And that's what really motivates us to show up for a zoning meeting on a Monday night, right? To be like, all right, I'm in, right? So it's the relationships, it's the people. So that's what I'm taking away.
Yeah. I mean, zoning meetings can be really fun. Yeah. Really fun. If you give them a chance. Give them a chance. Okay, can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists, Obed, Eli, Fran, Mike, Kristen, and a round of applause for yourselves for taking, maybe this is your first step towards advocacy, right? And you're going to leave here with some concrete actions, ways that you can support not just these organizations, but our other neighbors. And we're going to invite Voices Rising Philly back up to sing us out here. And I'm going to invite everyone, stay for a couple of minutes, have another cup of coffee, enjoy the refreshment. Please stop at the tables of all of our nonprofits that are there. They're doing amazing work. Sign up for their newsletters, follow them on their socials. Maybe you have a chance to donate today to the good work that they're doing. Find out more about them. Okay? Did you want to say a few words before?
Just wanted to add my thanks to all of you for being here, to our panelists. Thank you so much. So inspiring and so true that when we get to know one another and spend more time together, and we see that in our Wissahickon Faith Community Association with rabbis and North Penn Mosque and all manners of churches and nonprofit leaders, the more we're together, the stronger we are, the more we can respond to one another and support one another in those moments when it's needed. So thank you. And I think in these times, at least my approach to being church is we want to enact the world the way that we want it to be. We want in this space to enact the way that we hope all of our communities will be and our world will be. And I hear that in each of your sharings today, that you're doing that too in your organizations and the people you serve. And that my hope is that the more and more we enact these communities, the more and more a part of the world it will be. And I'm glad our worlds are more connected. So thank you. Thank you. And Voices Rise, please. Yes.
So we have one last song, and when I spoke to Pastor Pete when I came in, I said, I know you only asked for 2, but given your theme, I think we have a song that would be a great benediction. Because while I am not a churchgoer, I was raised in the Presbyterian Church, so I know what benediction means. I also just want to say your band was awesome, and on my mom's church, Bower Hill Community Church in suburb of Pittsburgh, had a really awesome 9 o'clock, guitar service. But why do you make the hippies get up earlier? I think that's just wrong. I just wanted to point that out. That just seems wrong. It just seems mean. So this song is called "We Are Here," and the first 2 lines are call and response, and then we're all going to sing the last line together. It's a zipper tune. How many people followed some of the amazing community singing that has come out of Minneapolis, all the communities of Minnesota that had been under a federal siege? So there's a movement called Singing Resistance. You can look them up. I was on a Zoom with 500 other song leaders, and it was one of 5,000 other song leaders. It was one of several Zooms they did. They have put up the songs, song sheets online. So this is something that every time I see the video of them walking through communities where there are migrant neighbors who don't feel safe to come out of their homes, gonna get choked up just thinking about it. And they were playing it on a loudspeaker with all these people singing so that their neighbors knew they were not alone. And this is such a great theme for what we just said from all of the wonderful speakers. So it is called "We Are Here." And the line that you're all going to sing together, the text is, "And our love for each other will carry us through." We are here, with each other, and our love for each other will carry us through. And our love for each other will carry us through. We are here, we are here. What was that I was going to say? With our voices. And our love for each other will carry us through. and our love for each other will carry us through. We are here with our neighbors, and our love for each other will carry us through. And our love for each other will carry us through. We're going to sing it one more time because you know it all the way now. We are here, with each other, and our love for each other will carry us through. And our love for each other will carry us through. Thank you for inviting us. We're Voices Rising Philly.
Thank you, everybody. Please join us for coffee and treats.